Ladies and gentlemen, I am Paul, U.S. Army combat veteran. It is July 7th, 2022, and this is your daily Ukraine update. And to my complete surprise, we have zero new activity along any fronts. And we're going to break down just why in a minute. So here is the front lines, and you guys can probably see no changes to anything. I think I may have seen a tiny repositioning here. Oh, there we go. There you go. There's this little town of Spearnay that they've seized. You can see it's literally like six houses, and like it looks like a warehouse or something. So you got them. You got them. They took a town. So, but other than that, there is literally no change to the front line whatsoever. And this is interesting. We've talked about why, right? We talked about the fact that the Russian forces have recently seized Lysychansk, but their strategy overall seems to be taking bite-sized pieces of territory, preparing the battlefield with massive artillery fires, and systematically clawing through bite by bite through Ukrainian territory. So suddenly, when the Ukrainians withdrew from Lysychansk, they probably found themselves with a ton of territory that they need to secure. So they have to embark on clearing operations to verify that there aren't any booby traps or pockets of resistance in Lysychansk that have stuck around. They also will need to bring forward not just their light infantry troops to form a defensive line here, but they're going to need to bring up their artillery. They're going to need to bring forward their lines of supply, right? The munitions dumps, everything else is going to have to come forward a lot. So what you end up with is they need to take an operational pause. The other thing that some analysts are speculating that they are going to do is, of course, begin to move forces south towards Donetsk. And we've talked about my theory that they are going to start to seize territory in Donetsk. And in another move, if you've been in the comments and seen the high volume of Russian trolls, they think that they've really caught me with my pants down, and that I didn't sufficiently acknowledge that Donetsk airport has been the scene of significant fighting since 2014 and is closed to civilian traffic. And if you know military air operations, you would know that just because civilian aircraft can't land here doesn't mean it lacks military value. And the reason is, first, military aircraft can land on surfaces that are way rougher in shape than civilian aircraft. Second is that what makes an airport valuable to a military, right, is not the terminal or the air traffic control tower, right? The fact that soldiers can't get, Starbucks and Sbarro is not what makes a military airbase functional. It's the fact that this strip here is long enough for heavy lift aircraft. It is flat enough for aircraft to land and take off. It is more or less paved, but most important, well, two other most important factors are it has enough space to not just land the aircraft, but it has space for aircraft to turn around, taxi, refuel, and do basic maintenance, right? So literally all they need is enough space to put up some tents. And also very important is the fact that, it's connected to major roadways. The fact that it's so close to all of these major roadways mean that when you offload supplies, it's going to be easy to send them all over the Donetsk front, right? So I want to point out, for example, BIAP, Baghdad International Airport, in the 2003 invasion was a site of some of the heaviest fighting in the invasion, right? Major Iraqi units were on the defensive there and were pushed out in heavy combat from U.S. forces. But C-130s were landing within 24 hours of the U.S. securing that airport. And the reason is because militaries know how to get an airport up and running quickly, right? It's you fill in those potholes in your runway, you clear out debris, you use tanks and armored vehicles to either push out or pull out destroyed enemy vehicles, right? You quickly establish a little fuel station or an area that's going to be a fuel station in the future, and you throw up a tent with some radios, and your air traffic control is in operation. That's it. You bring those flights in, you land them, you have them taxi somewhere, and you're ready to take them off again. That's all you need for a military airport, right? If the Russians were able to seize this and really like secure it from any enemy activity, I would bet within about 7 days they could be bringing flights in, maybe as little as 3 depending on the state of the runway. So anyway, it's one of those instances where just because you read something in the comments and they sound like they've really found you, they act like they've really caught you saying something stupid, it just means that they just don't have the context. And it's understandable, right? They're trolls, and the harder they troll, the less likely they are to be drafted and sent to fight in Ukraine. So if I was a Russian troll, you bet I would be seizing on any opportunity to troll even a YouTuber with just 100,000 subscribers. Thanks, guys. Anyway, what's also fascinating is that Russia itself has acknowledged that they have stopped operations, taking an operational pause, right? What's interesting is that obviously there's a statement from the Institute of War speculating that this happens, but what's fascinating is Russia's defense ministry itself has said that units involved in combat have been given time to rest, right? They're taking measures to recover their combat capabilities, the Russian defense minister says. Servicemen are given the opportunity to rest, receive letters and parcels from home. They're probably also, desperately trying to clear areas, move up artillery, establish AHAs. The idea that they are just chilling is probably not correct. The units involved in like heavy combat probably are taking a breather, but most of the other ones, the logistics and rear area units, and even units that haven't seen heavy combat, they are not going to be resting. They're going to be digging fighting positions and preparing sectors of fire and moving fire bases and artillery operations up closer to the front. They are going to have their work cut out for them. Anyway, guys, that is it. That is the update for today. Really interesting time to be checking out the war. No one really knows for sure what's going to happen next, except, of course, for Vlad at the top. But thank you, guys. And, of course, if you want access to YouTube videos that are too spicy for monetization, too spicy for the public consumption, you want to become a member of the Patreon. Thanks to my Lieutenant tier patrons. I'll see you in the next one.